right up there. I mean, certain Hall of Famer, and he's the one that makes it go. I mean, somebody made the point that they're 14-0, and without him, could very easily be the exact opposite of that, given the way a lot of their games went. So I don't know if that's the case, but they certainly wouldn't be anywhere near 14-0 without him in there. So it starts with him, and then they've surrounded him with a great group of skill players, probably the best group of guys with ball skills as you've seen in the league in a long time. Everybody from the tight end to all the wideouts to the running backs all have great hands, all have run after the catch ability. And I think what elevates the receivers, though, is the quarterback's ability to put the ball exactly where it needs to be. You see tight windows in coverage, and the ball's still getting exactly where it needs to be. So it's a huge challenge for us, probably by far our biggest challenge of the year. Going against this offense. I mean, we played against the Saints early in the year, played the Patriots twice, but I would put this challenge probably slightly ahead of those other ones.
Mike, we've asked Rex a million times. What's your take on these late game, failings, if you will?
Failings is a good word. It's frustrating. It's definitely frustrating for us to play good defense, and if we want to be considered great, and if we want to be a championship caliber football team, we have to find ways to make plays at the end of games. Just playing good defense for the whole game. I mean, that's when it's crunch time, when the pressure's on. We want to be known as a group of closers, not guys that are going to fade at the end of the game. And that's frustrating. And that's a culture that we need to change here in our defensive room. And I think frustrating is the best word to use to sum it up. And it's something that's definitely being addressed. And part of it goes back to things I've said in here week after week of playing together, and there's no substitute for game experience. And I think when the game's on the line, that you rely more on the knowledge of the system and dependence on where your teammates are going to be and how to handle certain things. And I think that's where some things have kind of fallen apart on us late, based on some of those issues. But it's something that while it's good to be known as statistically a very good defense, as I said last week, we want to be the winningest defense in the league. And when you can't close a team out, it's going to be difficult to beat that.
Mike, when you obviously the body of work is good. It's been well above average, as you say, statistically. But if you are able to slow down the Colts enough to the point where you win the game, what kind of a statement would that be for this defense? Does it mean you've closed, against the best?
Well, I think it'll mean that we're one step closer to our ultimate goal, which is to get in the playoffs. I mean, that is our priority. Is it a statement game for our defense? Every week's a challenge in the NFL. This one bigger than usual, and I think our guys, rise to those challenges. They couldn't wait to get on the plane and go down to New Orleans and play against Drew Brees and look forward. There was no Newt Rockne speeches needed defensively in those Patriot weeks. So I think our guys rise to those challenges, and you ask them to a man, I'm sure they're all looking forward to this one as well.
Is it tough to disguise what you're going to do on defense against Peyton Manning, because he's able to kind of go to the last scrimmage and kind of point out where certain things are coming from, so to speak?
It's critical, and pre-snap movement. We always use a phrase that we had gotten from Mike Nolan years ago. You don't want to be iron deer on the lawn. So you don't want to stand in one spot and let them know where you're going to be. So we always try to gear all of our calls where they know where you're supposed to be. Ultimately, we can go ahead and move around. But Peyton Manning's the quarterback. At quarterback, if he knows what you're in a lot of trouble. I mean, he's good enough, if he doesn't know the coverage. But when you give him a tell, when you give him something that is an indicator to what you're playing, and he'll know exactly where to go with the ball. I mean, he's the best in the league, maybe the best in history of understanding defenses and taking what a defense will give him.
What about Curtis Payton is probably going to play? What do you see from him?
Young kid. It's funny, you look at some of his mannerisms. He's trying to pattern his game after Peyton. But he's obviously a local kid there out of Purdue, threw for a lot of yards in college. We watched his body of work so far in the NFL in the preseason, and he's got a big arm. real big arm. He's a mobile kid. He likes to move around the pocket. And obviously, those preseason games, you're a lot of times considering who's blocking for you. You are moving around in the pocket a lot or running for your life. And he showed good mobility. And he throws the ball well on a run. And he seemed to have a pretty good command of their system. And he's learning from the best in the game. So he certainly, we talked about it defensively today, that if he happens to be in there, that he's not a guy that we can, just relax and say, oh wow, it's Curtis Painter. I mean, certainly not Peyton Manning. There's only one, but he's a guy. If we want to accomplish our goals, that we're going to have to play well, no matter who they have in their quarterback.
With the Mike, do you sense that, switching gears for a second, that Carey has maybe responded to the tough love, if you will, these past couple of weeks that, you guys have given?
I think so. I mean, if you just look at results, I think so. I mean, you'd have to ask him, how it's affected him and how it's translated into his play on the field. But from a results standpoint for us, I mean, we're pleased with how we played as a defense, while we were going through it. I mean, Eric Smith showed that he's a quality NFL starter and will still be a big part of our rotation at safety. And to me, Carey has certainly elevated his play, and whether that was as a result of what had happened, like I said, that's something you'll have to check with him on. But we're just pleased with the result. It was a move that we felt we had to make, and looking back on it, we certainly have no regrets over.
What about getting to the court? Last week, I know sacks are already, but you had no sacks. Your defense had no sacks, not you personally. How important is it to close the deal more? It may perhaps on the last drive, Ryan had too much time. Someone can make the argument. What about closing the deal on more of these sacks?
Well, we had this conversation earlier in the year. I mean, sacks for us defensively, I think, are a little bit of an overrated thing. Now, if you get a sack in a 2-minute drill, I mean, that's huge. It usually is a drive killer for the offense. But they did a good job protecting him, and he did a good job of knowing where to go with the ball and going with it, going there quick with it. But